Hey Mike, what are we looking at here?
Well, this is one of the new exhibits we put together for 2009 for the summer season. We got together with North American Bigfoot Search, and they provided us with some materials that they purchased from Ray Crow. Ray Crow ran a Bigfoot group up in Oregon for 16 years or so, had his own newsletter and so forth, and then he got ill recently and had to get different living quarters and needed to get rid of some of his stuff. So this Knobs group bought all of his Bigfoot stuff. So we have a lot of it here now on display in our museum on loan from Knobs, and amongst them are these fake carved footprints that Ray Wallace made. There's 3 different versions there, and then these gigantic paddles for making prints in snow, and so forth. And I mean, if you take a look at these casts, what the man did was he would carve these flat wooden feet out of wood, and then he would on occasion attach them to a shoe, and then leave a trackway here and there. Other old codgers have done this over time. There's a man named Rant Mullins who claims that he was doing it before Wallace was, and that Wallace stole his thunder and has taken all the credit. We got a picture of Mullins there too. But Ray Wallace, of course, was the most well-known of these hoaxers, and he would take these fake tracks and then he would make a mold from them and then cast them in plaster. And at various times he had sort of a makeshift Bigfoot museum or a Bigfoot display, and he would sell copies of his plaster cast to tourists, and he would sell pictures of his wife in a gorilla suit. He filmed her in a gorilla suit and took stills, and we have a record that he produced that has her next to a cougar inside a Bigfoot suit, and we have pictures from one of his films on the display. And this is the man who died a few years ago, around 2001 or so, and when he died, his family announced to the media that Bigfoot was dead, that their dad had single-handedly created the myth by planting fake footprints in Northern California. Well, of course that's patently absurd, because the Bigfoot thing has been around for centuries. People have been spotting hairy wildmen in the forest ever since day one. So Ray Wallace has not been all over the planet for thousands of years planting tracks. But they tried to give him credit for the Bigfoot in California, and since he died, people are still finding tracks and having Bigfoot sightings. So it's a pretty silly thing. But his family started seeing dollar signs because there was talk of making a movie about his life. Ray Wallace, the lovable trickster who created Bigfoot, sounded like a great idea. And when they started hearing about the dollar signs, they started stretching the story even further, and they were claiming that Wallace had helped Patterson to make his film, told him where to go to shoot the Bigfoot and all that stuff. And what's really sad is that what happened is the news media took this soundbite, Bigfoot is dead, and they just ran with it. They thought it sounded terrific, and they didn't care whether it was true or not. It didn't matter. It sounded great. And so the story went out. And so television, being a visual medium, when they would talk about the lovable prankster Ray Wallace creating Bigfoot, they'd show the Patterson-Gimlin film in the background, while they're talking over it. And so people come in here every day and say, wasn't there a deathbed confession about the guy filming his wife in the gorilla suit? And they point to the Patterson-Gimlin film. And no, they're 2 separate incidents. Ray Wallace had nothing to do with the Patterson film, and Ray Wallace was a known hoaxer. And as our exhibit will show, his fake tracks look nothing like most of the prints that have been cast and photographed by Bigfoot researchers around the country.